The single cat ladies seem to be striking back. Suck it, JD Vance. They don't like you and they don't like your ticket. Apparently, a lot of single ladies are choosing Kamala Harris. Now, that was always sort of expected, but the numbers might surprise you. And we're going to jump into all of that. But before we get into the specifics on this race, you should understand that the number of single women in America has skyrocketed over the years. In 2023, there were 43 million single women living in the U.S. That is a 55% increase from just the year 2000. So that is a big jump in the last 2.5 decades. And we know some things in general about single women. They tend to be older, more educated, and more financially independent than they were a generation earlier, and they are motivated to vote. Back in 2000, 48% of single women reported voting. In 2020, that number jumped to a record 61%. Okay, single women now make up 1/4 of the electorate. Single men, on the other hand, make up about 19%. So they're lagging a little bit. And in terms of the share of those who vote, you can look back on this. This is all of the voting of single people, women in green, men in yellow, going back to the year 2000. Men have never matched women in an individual race. And so we don't know what the numbers will be like in 2024. We know that the Trump campaign has spent a lot of time going on like Rumble shows and Manosphere podcasts, like trying to appeal to single young men. Maybe that'll work. Maybe the numbers will be much closer than they were previously. Maybe it is that men weren't as motivated to vote because they weren't being, like told to vote or asked to vote. But if that strategy doesn't work, then this historic trend that chart showed might imply that it's a dangerous strategy for Trump to be putting so many of his chips in the basket of a group that has not historically shown themselves to be all that politically motivated or politically active. And we know in general that these single women especially tend to be Democrats. So we're going to get into more of the numbers for Harris specifically. But Nina, what do you make of this?
I think it is always a wrong tact for any politician running for office to just try to rely on one group, one singular group to push them over the top. Now, we know that can happen where one group may disproportionately vote a certain way, but he should be running and trying to appeal to all the different demographics of voters in the United States of America. And that really is for both candidates. But your point, if we solely just rely on the numbers, then yeah, he is at a deficit and we're making an assumption. When I think about 2016, a lot of women, especially white women, voted for Donald J. Trump, despite knowing what his policy views were. They did that. So we can't just assume that the women, just because Donald Trump takes these policies that are very anti-woman, that he will not enjoy a large share of the woman's vote.
Yeah, I think inevitably it's going to be higher than it seems perhaps like it should be. The issue is that the gap right now is pretty big. I mean, Harris has a pretty major advantage, in women, and it's strange because Donald Trump, he's been going on a lot of shows to appeal to men, obviously, but on the debate stage, on the rally stage, he does try to appeal to women, and I think the argument that he makes to them is pretty good. He'll go out there and he'll be like, I'll protect you, you dumb broad. Stop thinking about abortion. And I find that to be very persuasive. And I think a lot of women will too. No, jokes aside, he just shoots himself in the foot every day. We were talking about the, Amber Thurman thing earlier. And the issue is that he cannot speak about women in a way that implies he has any respect for them, because he doesn't. And also, he's not a good actor. He doesn't respect women, and he's not smart enough to hide it. JD Vance doesn't respect women, but on the debate stage, he pretended that he did. I think he did an okay job of pretending that he doesn't generally look on women with a combination of disdain and disinterest, which is how I think JD Vance has gone through his life concerning women. But Trump can't do that. And by the way, I want to talk about the polling, and then we can comment more. So married women, Trump and Harris, it's almost exactly, they split 46-46, sort of going to your point. Trump does bring in still a lot of women voters. Married men actually go for Trump by 13 points. Never married women, I mean, she's getting 65% of that vote. And Trump, to his credit, he leads amongst never married men, but the gap is way smaller than it is. And look, defining it as never married, to some extent, what you're getting is the generational gap. Like, you're less likely to be married if you're younger. And we already know that young women are the most like progressive group that's ever been measured. Like their level of support is like we've never seen anything like it before. Young men are more conservative than previous generations, but not to the same way that the young women are, you know, progressive or whatever. And we talked about how Trump is trying to deal with that. You also have people like Jesse Waters. He saw that young women were voting Democrats at high levels, and he says that means they need to marry and settle down. That'll fix it. That's not that's not going to win women over. Like just saying, oh, we'll wait until they grow up, then they'll support it. No, like maybe you could talk about them in a way that, again, doesn't demonstrate constant disdain. Maybe you could like listen to them and put forward policies that might appeal to them. Like they don't even consider the possibility that you would win over a woman to vote for you the way you'd win over a man, by trying to appeal to them, trying to offer them, trying to understand them. It's just like they think that they can berate them into voting for them. And we see a lot of that in politics these days, Nina. But any other thoughts?
Yeah, we do. The black men comment by President Barack Obama, I will put that in the parking lot. People like JD Vance. I mean, to me, JD Vance is a thorn in President Trump's side when it comes to the issues of women, because he started the crazy out loud, you know, the craziness and the comments towards women. But people like them, whether it's JD Vance, President Trump, they just do not seem to have a broad respect for women and our abilities, other than we are an object to be objectified, to produce children, to not think, to just do what we are told. So they are actually saying, John, the quiet part out loud. And as hard as it is to know that these men who have incredible power and influence feel this way, on the other side of it, it's quite good to know that these types of men, and not all men feel this way, but that these men feel this way, because now we can deal with it.
Yeah. I do wonder, like, if he'd taken a different VP, like if he'd gone for, like, people had talked about Katie Britt or, you know, Kristi Noem or something, like, could that have helped him? I don't know.
Or Tosi.
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. But Baby Vance does not seem to be doing him any favors, particularly amongst that group. Sorry, Baby Vance. Anyway.
When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?